second speaker get to our location. Anyway, so we have a very good program set up to inform you on the legislation about oral chemotherapy, which is a very important issue, not only for myeloma patients, but also for all cancer and non-cancer patients who take oral chemotherapy in terms of getting it in the same line financially-wise as it is for IV drugs. Since the scene has changed so much in the past, which in the past year, there have been more, in terms of for myeloma patients, we've had 2 new chemo drugs orally that have been introduced within the past year and a half. And that's becoming the norm instead of the new. So this is a big issue that we hope to get resolved statewide this year. And so we have both speakers will be dealing with that. But before we get started, I just want to bring your attention to the new newsletter that I just sent out 2 days ago. I started off with oral chemotherapy. I did send this to you electronically, so if you check your emails, you should be able to view this in any web browser that you have. I tried to do a summation of just the major issues of AB 219, first off, which is the bill that you will be having Sarah from the Komen Foundation talk about at the end today. I also put in some descriptions of 2 federal bills, H.R. 1801 and H.R. 460, which touch upon the same things at the federal level, which is what Joanna from the San Diego support group will touch upon in more detail later in our meeting. In the news, no sooner than that night that I had posted this and sent this out in terms of the Supreme Court dealing with patenting human genes, then the next morning they ruled unanimously that human genes are not patentable. This is very important because right now and also in the future, there will be more and more therapy for cancer patients in terms of gene therapy. The issue is who owns your genes, and even beyond that, who owns parts of your body. Maybe you don't realize it, but a lot of the consent forms that you sign for treatment covers this very same issue. And basically what you're doing is you're giving them the right to use that for not only for future use or research purposes, but also in terms of making money off of your body parts and off about your genes. Now, what the Supreme Court did rule on was that if it's your own human gene, it's not patentable because it happens in nature. However, they left it open in terms of the issue where if it's altered in any way, then that could be considered something that is patentable because then it's thought of as being an invention. So we're not over this issue yet. I put it in a newsletter to show you that these are the type of issues that will affect us very, very soon, if not now. So I have the proper link so you can go at your leisure to read about this issue. Also, I have an interview with the lead attorney, Sandra Park, who argued the case to the Supreme Court. She was the lead attorney. I have quick links in the news. Sorry, my hand is kind of not stable there. Dealing with multiple myeloma in terms of highlights of ASCO that just took place 2 weeks ago in Chicago. Charting the course of myeloma, Dury keeps the standards. A nice interview with Dr. Dury in terms of his involvement all the years with myeloma research and so forth. So when you have a chance, you can take a look at that. Meeting information, of course, that's where we are now. And then, of course, I have a listing of our speakers that we'll be having for the rest of the year. Today we have Sarah Bryant, Commission Programs Manager of Komen Inland Empire. We'll have Joanna Jones, Co-Chair of the San Diego Multiple Myeloma Support Group, and also Co-Chair of the San Diego Leukemia Lymphoma Society Office of Public Policy. Now for next month, we will have Dr. Lemieux Eftini. He's an oral and maxillofacial surgeon with Riverside Oral and Maxillofacial Surgery. He will be talking next month about the issues that myeloma patients face in terms of dentists, in terms of your teeth. There's a lot of issues we have to be concerned about in terms of the medicine we take and what happens to us with our teeth. So I've had a lot of requests for people that to deal with this. I'm glad to get him, being he's local. He does treat a lot of our patients here that are part of our group.
So it's going to be in a different location next month?
Yes, thanks, Jack, for pointing that out. It will be at the Janet Goski Center, 5257 Sierra Street, Riverside. I will put out directions well before our meeting so that you know. We'll have people calling you well before we usually do, so that you know it will not be here for next month. It'll still be the third Saturday of July 20th. You get that fly, Carrie?
Hopefully.
Okay. Yeah, so remember, we do not meet here next month. Do not meet here next month. We'll meet at the Janet Goski Center, still the third Saturday, July 20th. Same time too, 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. For August, we still have to get a speaker. September, of course, you all know Dr. Robert Vesio. He will be here in September. In October, we will have Dr. Alawadi right here. Two popular speakers we have. And then, of course, November, December, we are going to, we have yet to announce a speaker. If you have any suggestions for speakers, I'm looking for somebody particularly dealing with caregiving, especially as we get toward the holidays. I would like your recommendations because that is an issue I've had a lot of people ask about caregiving. A lot of people who are caregivers saying they're having a lot of problems with caregiving and they could use some help. A lot of people say they have problems, period, both patient and caregiver. I'm trying to find someone who can deal with those issues and can really talk about the problems myeloma patients and their caregivers as well as families and friends have in terms of dealing with this issue. So if you know someone, counselor, therapist, or someone that you feel would be helpful in terms of having a good presentation, please let me know so I can pursue that and see if I can get somebody to come to our openings. Lab Light, our monthly column by Judith Finley is in there. Very good, very topical about testing. Upcoming events. I try to make this as comprehensive as I can. There's a lot of things going on coming up in this month. It's all listed. I did give you a handout of a Millennium event that's going on. I have that in here as well. That is, I believe, yeah, that's on the 26th at 4 p.m. Pacific. Exercise and nutrition, a very important topic. But they're all listed here. Another one I would bring to your attention, or two more. You see here, Friday, June 28th, I'll put it up a little higher. There's a special 2013 Cancer Rights Conference put on by the Cancer Legal Resource Center. We've had them here before. They're very good. This is a free conference. It's an all-day conference. Lunch will be provided. It's at the USC Norris Cancer Comprehensive Center. Topics covered will include how healthcare reform affects patients and survivors, developments in employment law for patients and survivors, and how public policy can improve the lives of patients and survivors, an issue we're going to be talking about today. Yeah, it says a light breakfast and lunch will be provided. So all you have to do in terms of registering for this free event, if you're able to go, is go to the link I say, go here and register. I highly advise, if you can, to go because they're very good. The other issue I want to bring to your attention, let's see. Here we go. Wednesday, June 19th. This is very interesting. It's a free webinar on health and fitness mobile apps and their privacy implications. Now, this is offered by the Privacy Rights Clearinghouse. It says here, smartphones are ideal tracking tools. People carry them almost everywhere they go, and they rarely turn them off. This capability allows for great consumer tools and benefits. At the same time, smartphones and the apps people download can be highly privacy invasive. Very true. And we don't know how invasive. This is a big issue, of course, because of the recent revelations of what the National Security Agency has been doing in terms of getting our information along with the federal government, in terms of cell phones and so forth. I won't get into that, but if you are interested and you you should be in terms of privacy issues, I highly suggest that you register for this event. This organization is very good in terms of dealing with privacy rights issues. I have sent in the past several things that they have done to you, but when I saw this, I thought, let me get this in there and encourage you to register for this and see how you can get more information on this very issue. I have listed my limit apps, a few apps there that you can use to encourage you to, now we're talking about apps. I know my manager is not invasive in terms of privacy because that's something you download on your own computer or your cell phone, and it's self-contained. But the other ones I don't know much about, but they seem to be very good. There's cancer.net, which is iPhone, iPad available, and so forth. So check them out and see what you think. Before we get started, I want to have Karen come up and talk a little bit about our goals in terms of fundraising. We're getting back on track on that. Karen's going to lead that effort so that we can start getting through fundraising so that the things that we want to offer you can be enhanced from what we have so that we can be able to have more funds to do things for you in terms of having speakers, being able to pay the speakers. Every speaker that you see here that comes up is doing it free, gratis. We don't have the money to pay for their time, transportation. So to get more speakers that will need to be paid, we need to start raising funds so that we can offer you more in terms of the services that we provide. I just want you to understand that. And Karen's going to help with her fundraising committee, and Karen is going to help out in that goal. So Karen.
Shorter. Okay, so we did have a committee meeting. We formed a little committee, and we wanted to keep it small, basically to get some ideas going. I've done fundraising pretty much all of my adult life, from every level, from local little groups like this to presidential. So this is going to be more grassroots, and this is where all of you come in. And I need all of you to get excited about it, because if we raise funds, then we can do more as a group. If we can't raise the funds, then we're going to be very limited. Now, Anthony has brought this group to a whole new level. Before, we never had lunches. We were limited on speakers. So he's been able to do this, but he can't keep doing it. So we need to help him out, which ultimately helps our whole group out. So some of the ideas, can I close this in?
Yeah.
Okay. Desk here. Basically, if I put together a fundraising letter, so you don't even have to create the letter, then all we're asking is you email it out to all of your contacts. I'd say 99% of the people are on computers, because a lot of us can't be out and about, so that's our outlet. Facebook or emails. And so if you can email out the letters, it will basically be stating what we're fundraising for and how they can send the funds in. And Anthony and I have worked together, and he's done the bulk of the work. I just kind of came up with, can we do this, can we do that? And he just went to Iemmsg and said, hey, can we use your tax ID? Can we do the donations online? So he's worked that out with Iemmsg, which is a huge task right there, done. So there's a couple other things. I don't know if you've heard of phantom events. They're very predominant in the business world. It's where nobody has to go anywhere, but you send like these really cool looking invites to people, but they don't have to go anywhere. And maybe you give them ideas of how to enjoy that evening without going anywhere. If you're doing a mailing and you can support the mailing for it, usually you'll send like popcorn or a movie or something like that. But we'll come up with something that you can either email or mail out that, again, raises funds. But it can be something fun. It's an idea for that family to do something fun. Selling baked goods, you may laugh, it works. People love it. And if you're not working, which most of us can't, you have friends that do. Some people live in a community where there's a clubhouse. That's a great place. You just have to get permission first. Every time you're going to do this in a public setting, you do have to get the permission first. We don't want to get IMF, the support group, or you in trouble. So selling baked goods, selling homemade stuff. We've had people sell beef jerky, casseroles, taking lunches to businesses if you get the permission first. And I'm just going to keep saying that. Chamber mixers. If you know someone that's real active in the chamber, ask them, hey, can I sell some baked goods? Or if you're crafty, I am not crafty. I cook, but I'm not crafty. So if you're crafty at something, maybe you can sell that at a chamber mixer if you get the permission from the chamber itself and through your friends. Farmers markets. This is a good avenue. A lot of people don't know this, but they do offer a free booth. The booth space, I mean, you have to supply the table and chairs, free to nonprofits. So it's usually, you can do it once every 6 months, so it depends on their rules and regulations. But if you have one locally that you like going to, why not set up a booth and sell whatever you're trying to sell anyways, or just asking for donations. And like Anthony said, these donations are to keep up the lunches. When he was arranging for everyone to go to Orange County, to Huntington Beach, he was pulling his hair out to try to get the buses paid for. If we had this already in place, we'd have the funds, he wouldn't have to do that. We'd already have the funds to do the bus. And it would just make his life less complicated, which he doesn't need anymore on his plate. And we have, as a group, more freedom to do what we really want to do. Because right now we're kind of stagnant. He's doing all that he can, but we need your help. And so I'm hoping everybody is willing and able to at least do emails at the very least, or asking friends, hey, we started this fundraising committee, we really need to get funds going, can you help us out? Every dollar counts. I will tell you that, just a little side note, if you're familiar with the Leukemia Lymphoma Society, my company that I was working for has raised funds every year since I was diagnosed. And to date, they've raised over $230,000, and that's from 2009. And so my husband was approached to be a candidate for Man of the Year. So in 5 weeks, him and I raised over $22,000. So I want to get you guys excited about this because it will grow our group. We, as a committee, it's myself, it's Suzanne, it's Nema's here, Linda, I don't think Linda's here today. So it's a small group, we can't do it ourselves. We need a buy-in from all of you to help out. If all of you chip in and are willing to help out with this fundraising effort, we can be so successful as a support group and do so many other things. So if you have any questions, I'll be here, ask me, I'm happy to, answer any questions. The other thing is we can make donation boxes and you can ask your dry cleaners, your bank, all the local places that you go on a regular basis, the vet. Ask them if they're willing to put that box out. And, just go and collect it, periodically so it doesn't just sit there. They don't want to be responsible for the money. But we have definite ideas and things that have worked in the past. So I just need your buy-in and your excitement to join us in the fundraising efforts. Thank you.
Thank you.